Well, you look at the G7s, these are the strongest. If just look at GDP, United States, China, and then in the Euro area, and then out of Euro is really Germany, right? And then UK. Japan comes before UK, and then India. India, it's right thereafter. And then France, Russia, Italy, Canada, Brazil, and Spain. So that's in that order. Now, the weakest, we can, go into, I'm scrolling down. Well, Bermuda is the weakest, supposedly. But they're a tiny country like the Marshall Islands and Antigua, those are very small countries, and they do, they really do tourists, that's really the main GDP. But the yield, the rise in yield has been catching a lot of attention lately is because it hasn't reached these levels for a long time. Because for the past decades, the world's interest rates were low. And you can say artificially low, right? I mean, look at Japan. Japan was a zero. And remember the German bonds, the bonds, they were at negative for some time. You were actually penalized for keeping your money in the bank. And that was only a few years ago. It wasn't too long ago. So we just came out of decades of low interest rate environment, okay? And now we have this boom that we're meeting. And I have to refer back to this innovation boom with multiple innovation platform converging. And all of a sudden, we have a reason to spend money. That's very important. You need to understand that. So what does that mean? It means households and corporations, now we have a reason to spend money. Well, households, yeah, well, we need to update. We need to upgrade our laptops and get new phones or whatever. Inflation, domestic standard of living, well, we'll basically answer the household why we have to spend money. But corporations, we have a reason to spend money, starts with the hyperscalers, because now we have AI infrastructure build out. We also have robotics. We want to upgrade our equipment. We want to, put upgrade to the grid. We want to do automation. We want to invest in, tech stack. Every company needs to basically catch up and spend. And now we have a good reason to spend. And AI is a great reason because we are still in the beginning stages of what it can do. Okay. So soon down the road, AI agents is not going to be so clunky and troublesome to work with like Claude right now. Soon you're going to be able to work with these bots and agents. You will be able to talk to it. Talking to it, that dialogue becomes the operating system. So mark my word, this is going to be the future. And that's why we're not even halfway into this CapEx cycle, right? And there's $1 trillion that is trickling down. Now, because CapEx is there, because people have and companies have reason to spend money, they're not putting into bonds. Okay, there's only so much money supply out there. So when that demand takes away from buying treasuries, the yield naturally goes up. So when a country or an economy goes through a boom, the yield naturally rises. It naturally rises. And we haven't seen that in decades, and that's why everybody's in shock. But at the same time, we just had $40 trillion of debt in the US. And so we are absolutely paying more than $1 trillion in interest payments alone, okay? That is similar to what we spend on defense, okay? Very similar, just a tiny bit more on defense. Now, this is not going to go away unless we figure out how to reduce government spending.